And today we are going to talk about Chapter 8, Breeches and Clogs in Caddie Woodlawn by Carol Ryrie Brink. This is a Newbery Medal winning book, meaning that it's a really amazing book. And I hope that you enjoyed this chapter in this awesome book. And yeah, I really like this chapter. So let's get started. Remember, you have to read the book first before talking about this. So I guess that you don't really need to read the book first. You just need to read the part that we're talking about before you watch the video. So, I have a question. Have you ever had a winter evening? Like, I know that some people, they live in places that don't snow. So have you ever had that feeling of, having a winter evening? And if so, what do you imagine it to be? And if you do live in a wintry place, can you please explain, like, how does it feel to you? Do you like it or not? So it feels nice, especially when you're grouped around the fire or you're in a really cozy area, maybe you're reading a book, maybe you're doing a puzzle, maybe you're just talking with family. It's really good because, you feel so cozy and comfy. You know that there's snow falling outside, and that means, maybe the next day you're going to have fun in the snow. But at the same time, you feel so protected and warm. It's really nice. And because, it's winter, you have the excuse to drink hot chocolate and do all of that awesome stuff. Okay. So, I have another question. Do you believe things that other people say are true? So, what I mean is, do you believe experiences that other people have experienced, but not you? For example, Warren doesn't believe that Tom and Caddie saw the wolves, right? So, are you that type of person? Well, I mostly believe what everybody says, but I do get a little suspicious, like if they are sounding a little too good to be true, if they're sounding a little too heroic, or if they sound like they're exaggerating a little, I do always question them. But mostly, I'm most of those trustworthy people who think, okay, this actually must be how it feels. And now, if you had seen a bear eating a little pig, how would you have felt, like, on every level of your body? Like, not only like terror, but like mentally, what would you be thinking? Like, everything like that. I would be pretty terrified, but also I would also be fascinated. I would be morbidly fascinated. So, I'll be terrified, but why should I be terrified? I know that a bear won't kill me. They think that humans, we don't really taste good. That might be, I don't know, some people could say that that's mean to say, but yeah, we don't taste good, which is good. Like sharks, people always say, sharks are going to kill us. In reality, sharks think that we look like seals, and then seals are nice and they're tasty, but we aren't. That's the cold hard truth. Yes, every animal in the world thinks that we stink. Yeah, our meat not very good, which is awesome because that means that we don't get eaten. So if you see like a bear, yeah, I wouldn't be actually terrified. Of course, I would be pretty grossed out. I would be like, bleh. At the same time, I'm pretty sure that I would be a little afraid, but not that terribly, like, frightened. Okay, so this guy, as you know, this guy, he says that he tells the truth. He says that I'm going to be terrified. Like, I will be screaming and jumping around, having heart attacks. He's always lying, but he calls himself the truth teller. Ugh. So, at the same time, yeah, I'll be thinking, ew, at the same time, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. Anyway, if you had seen a wolf, do you think that you would have been terrified? How would you have acted? There's a lot of stories. Everybody's telling a lot of stories, right? But do you think that Robert Ireton's story is true? Do you think that Tom's story is true? Do you think that, which story do you think is the most reliable? Like, if you only had to choose one, like, you had to choose, this is the most reliable story of all. I would choose Clara's because I do think that Caddie and Warren, they're very, very trustworthy. I would say that they're number 2. So like Clara's number 1, Caddie and Warren are number 2, and Robert Ireton's probably 3 because maybe his is true, but I think that's the most far-fetched. And besides, he got it from a man who had married the fiddler's sister. That's sort of strange, you know? I mean, like, you have the fiddler and then the sister, like, I mean, the fiddler, he would have told the truth to the sister, but maybe he exaggerated a bit. And then, you know, and then the fiddler's sister told her husband. More truth would have been altered. Maybe a few facts would have been forgotten, and she just made a few up to fill in the blanks. And then finally, he probably mostly forgot about it, or maybe he didn't remember something correctly, and then he told Robert Ireton, and then Robert Ireton could have told the story differently. All in all, the actual story could be maybe he was being chased by wolves and he had a banjo instead of a flute. I don't know, but it could be totally different. Anyway, Clara is, well, we know how much of a lady she is, and I don't think that she would be lying. At the same time, Caddie and Warren and Tom are also very, very trustworthy, which is why I put them in number 2. But it's almost a tie. What do you think? If you had to list all of them on the trustworthy scale. Now, Caddie brings up the clogs and the breeches, right? Now, what did you think? Did you think that Caddie's parents would react in 1, horror, 2, surprise, 3, laughter, 4, fainting? That's probably the least likely one. But what did you think? I thought that they were going to react in surprise and maybe some sadness, but instead, Mr. Woodlawn was sort of smiling, right? And if you had been the children, would you have been really curious? I mean, like, they're like, what are they? What are they? Do you think you'll be that curious, or would you just be like, who cares? What do you think? What type of person are you? Like, when somebody discovers an old family memento, are you like, I want to have it? What is it? Or are you, who cares? What type of person are you? I think I'll be the type of person who says, what is it? What is it? Because, and I know that as a fact. I know that as a fact because I found an old Tudor watch. Yes, a Tudor watch, like somewhere in the garage. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This must be something like a family heirloom. In fact, my dad had bought it, but yes, I am that type of person who questions everything about hidden things, especially the ones in the garage. And I guess that the garage is the equivalent to the family's attic, because that's where all of our junk goes. And now, did you think that Mr. Woodlawn and Mrs. Woodlawn would tell them or not? I had a feeling that they would, because, you know, this chapter is pretty long, and it's named Britches and Clogs, and I don't think that they would just, I don't think that the author would just name the chapter Britches and Clogs and then have almost no mention of them. Or, what did you think? And, who do you think that the shoes belong to? Some deceased descendant? What do you think? What did you think? I actually thought that it belonged to somebody who was dead, but that's actually not the case. It's Mr. Woodlawn's, right? And so we learn a lot, right? Now, if you had been Caddie and you learned that your grandfather was a rich lord, how would you, not your grandfather, sorry. What I'm saying is that your great-grandfather, right? Well, how would you have reacted if your great-grandfather was a lord? What do you think? And I would say that Caddie's family is poor because they're pretty well off, I mean they have money, but they're not rich. Like, they're not like a prince. They're mostly, like, compared to a prince. Well, these days they would be close to poverty, though, because that was the frontier. I guess that they would just be middle class, right? But let's just call them, compared to princes, they're sort of near poverty. And so, yeah, did you believe it at first? And if you haven't Caddie, would you have believed it? I think that I would have first said, "You're lying," and then, "Really?" And then, "I don't believe you," and then, "Wow." And so what happened is that, their grandfather, he liked somebody who was lower class, right? He married that person, and he died because of it. Now you might be like, what? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he married that person, and then so the Lord disowned him, and because of that, he died because he got disowned, and then after that they didn't have any food, and because of that starvation and work, he died, right? Exactly. He died. And what do you think? Because this is pretty crazy. Just because you fall in love, like hundreds of dollars, you die, and all of your descendants are cursed with, your non-richness. I'm not saying that, this is a bad thing. I believe in true love. Well, I don't really believe in true 100% love. I just believe in affection, but not true love. Anyway, we're not talking about that. What I'm saying is that, do you think that it's fair for the descendants? Like, let's say that you are a Peacock fan, and you realize that your great-grandfather had peacocks. He was rich. If your grandfather had done something properly, and I'm not saying that what he did was bad. I'm not saying that. Then you would have been living like princes. Do you think that you would have been like, I like that grandfather did what his heart told him? Or would you be like, what? I could have lived like a prince? We wouldn't have to come to the frontier. We would be living in a castle? What? What do you think? Well, I think that I wouldn't be like, I hate him. I just hate him. I don't think I would be like that. In fact, I think that I would just be like, I think that I would be a little mildly annoyed because, I could have lived like a lord. I could have lived in a palace. But at the same time, if that hadn't happened, then I wouldn't have been able to go to Wisconsin. Now, you might be saying, hey, like a palace compared to Wisconsin? You could visit Wisconsin whenever you want it. But still, there's a different experience to that. And besides, it's not like if I have a Caddie, it's not like my life is terrible. I still live very well. But, yeah, what do you think? How would you have responded? Also, have you ever eaten a butternut? I've never eaten a butternut, and now I'm really curious. What is a butternut? I really want to eat it. But yeah, nobody really blames grandfather, though. I'm pretty sure that inside one or two of them will probably be thinking, man, maybe he should have just rethought everything. If you had been Caddie's grandfather, do you think you would have given up your money, your power, and sort of your life after about 10 years to marry a seamstress? What do you think? To marry your true love? Well, first of all, I'm not really keen on marrying, but if I did, well, it all depends. So, have you ever encountered pride before? Are you a prideful person, and has this made you a good, very noble person, or has this made you a bad person? What do you think? I have pride. I have a lot of pride, but I'm not a terrible person. Well, maybe that's because, my son didn't, betray me, but I don't think that would have been a big deal. He marries who he wants to marry. That's just, parenting 101. So, yeah. That guy was not a very good parent. But let's say that you were the old lord, that lord. Do you think that you would have agreed to the marriage? And remember, this is a time when marriage is everything. Just think about it like that. Marriage is everything. Everything. And then think, would you be happy? Maybe not, because, marriage is everything. But it's not everything, but it does make up a lot. And now, their parents were forced to, Caddie's dad was forced to, live in poverty, to be hungry, and afterwards, he kept on he danced for money. And while you were reading that story, how did you feel towards Mr. Woodlawn? And there was also, were you surprised that Mr. Woodlawn could dance? Not really. I mean, if he could dance before, I'm pretty sure that he could dance now. But I have a question. If you have been Caddie and you now knew about this, would you have been saying, I have, awesome blood. I have the blood of lords and kings? Or would you be thinking, my grandfather made a terrible mistake? How would you be feeling about this? Would you just be feeling, oh man, I could have become a lord and I didn't? Yeah, I would have preferred if I didn't know that. Now I'm sad. Or would you be like, I could have been a lord. I am so proud of myself. Would you be happy about this or sad? I wouldn't be very sad because you can't really miss something that you never had, but in a way you sort of can, I guess, in a way. I wouldn't feel that terrible about it, but whenever I'm, shivering, or whenever I feel the effects of poverty, I don't know, maybe I have to eat stale bread, and maybe we have to, we have to huddle around the fire because something isn't working. Maybe, maybe we only need to eat turkey for the rest of the winter. I think I will be thinking, being Lord will be very nice. Yeah. So I want you to think about this for some time, and after that, just think, how would you have responded to this? Well, that's it for today. I just wanted to really talk about your feelings with this lordship, and Caddie really actually feels sort of sad, right? She feels angry because her father, he had to stare at the peacocks on the other side of the gate. And yeah, imagine how hard it must have been for Mr. Woodlawn. If Mr. Woodlawn was in your life, yeah, He's right next to you. He's right next to me too. What would you say to him? And that's my finishing note. I don't really think that we have to talk about favorite character, least favorite character. I mean, we could always say least favorite character, great grandfather, right? Caddie's great grandfather. So yeah, I guess we're going to do the least favorite character, favorite character. So yes, there you can answer that. Also, what was your favorite part? Probably when Mr. Woodlawn began to dance. And what was your least favorite part? That part when Caddie imagined, when Mr. Woodlawn told the very tragic story. Though at the same time, it was very interesting. And yeah, how did you like the book so far? You can sort of think about it, like compared to other books that you have read, how would you rate it on a scale to 1 to 100? Yeah, 1 to 10, I think is too much of a limited range, but 1 to 100, that allows you to express your feelings even more. So I'm gonna end right here. I hope that you enjoyed today. We talked about chapter 8 of in Caddie Woodlawn. We talked about Caddie's dad's past and how Caddie possibly could have become very rich, but didn't, unfortunately for her. Bye! Though, of course, think, was this unfortunate or not?